The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
It is midday in the Queen City. Business is booming. We are learning how to speak the same language when we're promoting the city of Cincinnati. And also, there's always a need, which means there's always an opportunity. Talking Hawksworth today. Let's do lunch. Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch. Hello, welcome to The Working Lunch. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we give you headlines about companies in the city and all the work that they're doing. We bring you interviews with business owners and local leaders, and also try to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe something to drink before you go back to face the afternoon. You know, if you are looking to be a restaurant that wants to show off some of your work, I know a live lunchtime TV show may not be ideal, but that doesn't mean we can't work with you. Shoot me an email, jack@cincycrown.com. Let's talk. Get some of your stuff in here. Show it off to the people of the city. Taking a look now at Cincinnati business headlines on this Tuesday. In the business of education, we do have an update on Cincinnati Public Schools' money issues and what the school board is looking to do about it. At its meeting just last night, the school board agreed to take a step toward putting a levy on the November ballot and also making moves to cut dozens of positions all across the Cincinnati Public School District. That would be central office staff, social workers, counselors for kids, and assistant principals. That is all to deal with a right now projected $58 million deficit. The last time that Cincinnati Public Schools had a new money levy on the ballot was back in 2016, and that was for its big preschool expansion. The board is considering three options as it stands right now: a $7 million property tax for 5 years that would raise over $64 million. They're also considering an $8 million property tax for the same 5 years that would generate $74 million. There's also a discussion of potentially putting an income tax on the ballot. That would also run for 5 years and would also get $74 million for the district. It is no secret that people in Cincinnati, specifically homeowners, along with much of the state, have been feeling the property tax pinch for a few years now. Rates went up coming out of the pandemic, and it's been frustrating for people paying mortgages for a while. The Inquirer points out that in the May election, 24 districts in Ohio out of the 32 asking for income tax requests failed. So not necessarily a guaranteed happy move there either. Public school districts are feeling the pain themselves as the state has made changes to property taxes, the way it fuels schools, and currently has $1 billion in funding going to vouchers for private schools, thereby affecting attendance at public schools. Keeping an eye on the way that'll develop going into the fall. We also have an update today when it comes to data centers in the state. Something that will not be on the November ballot is an Ohio state constitutional amendment that would ban data centers. The group trying to make that a reality, called Conserve Ohio, has announced it is not going to turn in the more than 400,000 petition signatures needed by July 1st. But the group says it is not giving up. They say construction on these data centers is continuing, and so is their work. They're now aiming to get something on the ballot for the 2027 election. At the same time, we recently got a look at the proposed data center for Trenton. This is called Project Mila. Maybe it's called Project Mila. It is a 250-megawatt facility set to be built in Trenton, covering over 140 acres. The Journal News giving an update on that project, saying that city leaders in Trenton are considering a 15-year, 75% tax abatement to get that construction project done, meaning that even though the building and the project from a group called Prologis is expected to be worth $233 million, the city would only tax $58 million of that. It would mean about $1 million for the city and local school districts. Certainly Trenton isn't as large as Cincinnati, but that extra $1 million doesn't seem like much to me. Finance Director Matthew Masisklis says that the project will not move ahead without that tax break, though. That being said, the Journal News also says that Prologis is going to make upfront payments about another $1 million to Edgewood City Schools separately, along with another $60,000 going to Butler Tech, in addition to a $2.5 million payment that it's already made for water and sewer, trying to stabilize rates for people. Project Mila is expected to use 16 million gallons of water per year. Projections for jobs on this project looking at more than 100 once the thing is opened, I believe in the year 2035. There were some questions from the mayor about the projection for annual income for those jobs, coming in at just over $40,000 a year. Still a lot of questions on this project. Trenton City Council meets again next month. Turning now to the business of beer. Look, I don't know what to say. Suds and Buds is down. We're not gripping and ripping as often. Hold on one more time. It's Miller time less often. Bad news, folks. U.S. beer sales dropped 3% last year. Total beer production dropped to the lowest level in the last decade, as it's been falling since the year 2022, which I guess is no huge surprise. Drinking was up during the pandemic, but it's apparently been falling ever since. Matt Garcia with the Brewers Association, that would be the trade association for making beer, not the baseball team out of Milwaukee. He says that it's because people are going to fewer social occasions where beer would be an option. I assume that means he hasn't been to any Cincinnati summer festivals. It's also because of more drink options in the market, both non-alcoholic and, say it with me, THC drinks. You remember our interview with Bobby Slattery of 50 West a couple of weeks ago. He said the THC seltzers that they were making were worth $3 million in revenue for his company. In Ohio, Slattery and other brewers have been working to try to get lawmakers to override the governor and remove the THC drink ban. However, that might just be a stopgap measure, though, because on the federal level, intoxicating hemp that was legalized in a farm bill is still slated to be banned nationwide in October, which would pull the rug out from underneath all THC drinks. Speaking of not suds, but certainly buds, people in Coleraine will be able to do a bit more gardening, if you know what I mean. That is a garden marijuana dispensary. That's on Coleraine in Camp Washington. But that outfit is adding a location in Coleraine, on Coleraine, just north of Springdale Road. It's right by the Outback Steakhouse, according to Google Maps. So I think it's going to be a bad day to be a bloomin' onion this September when that place opens. King City, which is the organization that has the garden dispensaries, has another garden location in Sycamore Township. Turning now to today's Big Bite. You know, we had a great conversation yesterday with Cincinnati Chamber CEO Brendan Cull, and after I had him on the show, I was thinking about all the people whose job it is to promote Cincinnati writ large. Certainly, it's a big job for a lot of people at the Chamber. There's also Visit Cincy, with the outward messaging to come to this area for tourism and convention purposes. There is Ready Cincinnati, REDI, which is the region's economic development initiative. Also, don't forget about BENKY and the Northern Kentucky Chamber. All these are nonprofits, by the way. We talk about what a vibrant nonprofit scene this area has, and that supports so many causes, this area itself being one of them. So you've got all those groups that have this main goal of seeing the Cincinnati area grow and thrive. But how do you get them to speak the same language? Take a look at this. Okay, so this is a video by Zach Kauth, which highlights the arts and culture scene here in Cincinnati. A lot of drone work on it. It's really pretty. There's no sound on purpose for this video, FYI, because it's one of several videos and a lot of pictures and more that are coming from a website called brandcincy.com. That is a website set up by Cincinnati Experience, a PR organization that is focused on as you might guess, promoting Cincinnati. Many of those groups that I just mentioned, Ready Cincinnati, Visit Cincy, the Regional Chamber, and Meet NKY, all partnered to create this brand hub with all sorts of media to promote where we live. This brand hub has a ton of information available in it. The Cincy Region Brand Strategy is a guide that compiles information on elements that define this area as a brand, what prospective businesses can expect when they come here, conveying Cincinnati to a variety of audiences. Again, a one-stop shop for all sorts of information like that. Values of the people, our city's character, and the voice of Cincinnati. These guides were put together with lots of research, lots of stakeholder input, and an extensive amount of community engagement. There is also, as you can see there, hard data, so prospective companies and organizations looking at Cincinnati know the quantitative makeup of this area, not just the qualitative vibes and cool pictures from drones. You can see there overall cost of living, median utility income, just all sorts of info on there. There's also a section that is devoted to national media coverage of Cincinnati. And as I was going through that, I like to see, the way other outlets talk about us. I got to point this one out. This is from the Scottish Sun. And to be clear, this piece from political reporter Lewis Mackenzie for the Scottish Sun is very complimentary about our city specifically. But it's just funny to get an outside perspective on things. He goes to a Bengals game and then had to explain to his Scottish reading audience essentially what tailgating is, why you would sit in a parking lot and drink beer and hang out with people before you go to the game. It also kind of keeps referring to Cincinnati as though it's a state, which, if we're being honest, Cincinnati's independence from much of what Ohio has going on is really one of my favorite things about this city. Again, it's a really nice piece glowing about the city, telling all of Scotland that Cincinnati is, quote, a hot U.S. spot that should not be overlooked. Plenty of links to videos on this brand experience page as well. Lots of other videos to show off the city. Here, take a look at this.
What does life look like in the Cincinnati region? Well, with the cost of living, pretty much any way you want it to. Live by a river, a park, a forest, a castle, a spaceship, on bluegrass, or in the urban core. And fill your days and nights with farmers markets, rooftops, parks, bike trails, festivals, and a world-class art scene.
I don't know a lot about disc golf, but it sure looked like that guy's throw was way off in the beginning there. But that's a great look at our city. All sorts of different options that are available for people. One other thing, this resource website offers itineraries as well. So if you're a business hosting a potential client, or if you run an annual convention or a festival that attracts people here from outside of the region, there are guides to all sorts of different trips that you can plan on taking. There's a neighborhood guide, a guide to local parks, the urban core, and more. I'm telling you, this is a really cool resource if there is any part of your job or side hustle or maybe just passion project that involves telling Cincinnati's story to others. And because of the cooperation between groups like the Regional Chamber and Visit NKY in coordinating this whole thing, it's a way to tell Cincinnati's story using the same language. It is unified branding for this city, and it's all for free. They're wanting to spread the word about this resource that's available. If nothing else, it could be useful for social media if posting about this region is part of your brand online. Again, you can sign up for access for free. The website is brandcincy.com. You're welcome. We got to take a break. Coming up on the Working Lunch, Hawksworth Blood Center is the longest running blood bank in the country. There's always a need, but it's summertime, so that need is much more pronounced. Find out where they're at, what they need, and the way businesses can help next. You're watching the Working Lunch on The Crown. Some stocks of interest. Take those in and stick around. We'll be back.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for the Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Dinner! Dinner! Hey.
All right.
Whoa.
Great job.
Yeah. Yeah, big win! It was great.
How'd that feel?
Intense. It was good. Kind of a fight to the death, you know? That's cool. What?
And you got
Yeah, it's cool.
and you got right back up.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, try to score the punches to get through. I was really like, I did it!
Yes. All right, go ahead and keep going. If you keep going, you can come around and score points.
We do have a game coming up, so they tend to be a little more focused and like strict.
Now this green line is what you're trying to not go out of.
Okay.
Going out, so now you have to go back behind. No, right behind our friend right here.
Okay.
Nice. This one.
There's one. We went butt. Okay. Hey. I got a big old tank, baby. I think I'm better skating backwards than frontwards. Ooh, everything's fine. Oh my God! You literally. I went for boys.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Fast, hard.
Wow! Oh my God! Yeah. Really did try to go hard.
Yeah, and you could have kept like, you could have went in hard.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are joined now by Huxworth Blood Center CEO, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. David O. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you had time to come out. I think you're a busy guy this time of year.
Gosh, I'm so glad that you invited me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's really cool. Huxworth Blood Center is the oldest blood bank in the country. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, we think it's, one of the oldest blood centers that actually distributes blood outside of their own hospital, right, to other places. But yeah, as we look back, I think that we are the oldest.
Now, I got to ask you a question before we get into all the good stuff you guys do. This is coming from a place of pure ignorance. But what's going on with that alphabet you guys use for the blood? There's A, and then there's B, and then there's AB, and so far I'm with you, but then it jumps to O.
Yeah.
Where'd science go wrong on the alphabet here?
Well, that stuff was all discovered around the year 1900 by Carl Landsteiner, and he identified the different blood groups, and he just started with A and B.
Sure, which makes sense.
O is kind of absence of those two, which I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that was just something I've always wanted to know. You guys have been going for, again, longest running blood bank in the area. You guys serve 30 hospitals?
Yep.
That's and 18 counties?
18 counties, yep.
Talk about the scale of that and what that really means for folks that don't have a sense of how much work that is.
Well, it's, we are an old blood center, right? And we still have the old blood center model of blood center that really services its community and takes care of its community. So all of the hospitals in the Cincinnati area get their blood from us. And most marketplaces or cities will have multiple different blood suppliers. But we really feel it's important to have that relationship with the different hospitals, and they rely on us, and we know that then all the donors who come into us will be helping all of their friends, family, visitors who are in Cincinnati to receive health care, and that the blood that they donate will be helping one of the patients in the area.
Yeah.
So it's really important for us to have that local presence here, not only to service the hospitals locally, but also so the donors all know, hey, when I'm giving to Hawksworth, it's going to stay in the area and take care of everybody who needs it.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. I think people, the sense of contributing something that's so personal locally, and then it also differentiates you from, I hesitate to use the word competitor, because you guys are in the nonprofit space and you're trying to keep people alive.
Yes.
But at the same time, you're working to make sure that the organizations and the hospitals that you support are well stocked with supplies. So letting people know that there is that local tie clearly is important.
Yeah, it's really important. Our tagline, saving lives close to home, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just the essence of what we are. For the national blood providers that are out there, they're doing great things, right? They're providing blood to people who really need it. But if you donate to those organizations, the blood really does not stay here in Cincinnati. And so we think it's important for us to be able to collect the blood here to be able to provide for the patients in need.
Well, and in terms of, getting the freshest blood on the shelf, if it keeps it local, because the logistics, I mean, that stuff has a shelf life.
Yes.
And that's why there's always sort of a constant ask needing people to donate. In general, what kind of demand do you guys supply on a daily basis or a weekly basis?
Yeah, we're looking for about 400 donations a day, typically Monday through Saturday. And then on Sundays, we really concentrate on platelet collections. So there are a bunch of different products that we really focus on. One is red cells, and that's kind of when you donate whole blood. That's the major thing that you
That's the regular
that's
plug
the red cells that you think about,
yeah.
and it's hanging in there in the TV shows, and it's red
and you
color.
get the cookies and the juice and all that.
And that's what you donate when you give the whole blood. In addition to that red cell, there's plasma that's there as well.
Sure.
And that plasma can be frozen. It's good for 12 months. Usually there aren't shortages on the plasma side, but the red cells are about 42 days in terms of life after you donate. And then the other major blood component that we provide are platelets. And those are very different. The collection for those takes a lot longer, about an hour and a half to 2 hours each time. And hopefully from each collection, we'll be able to collect 2 or 3 platelets. Those are only good for 7 days after you collect them at most. And we can't release them because of all the testing that we do for up to 2 days afterwards. So they essentially have a shelf life of 5 days. And so I compare those products to, if you go to the grocery store, the greens that are in the produce area.
Yeah, like in the organic section.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you have to have those available, right? So people need that, but they need it to be fresh and available for them. So that's a much more difficult product for us to be able to supply.
You guys are, like I said, there's always a need, but once we get into summertime, people are out and doing things more. Kids aren't in school, so there's fewer blood drives at school. Yeah. And so there is an urgent need right now for the type O blood.
Yes. The 100 days of summer after Memorial Day, it gets pretty tight, and O-pos is always in need for the red cells that are
and now the O-positive and the O-negative, that's what, the universal donor and the universal receiver?
No, so they're both universal donors.
Okay.
Most people can receive the O-pos, and if you're in a car accident or something you need blood urgently, they'll use O-pos. But the O-negs are really meant for women who are of reproductive age or younger, because of some complications that can occur in a small percentage of those recipients.
Okay. And now, so we see the big van that's right there, and I do want to talk about that Jersey here in a second.
Yeah.
But that big bus, how many of those big Hawksworth vehicles do you guys have?
We have like 7 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we collect about 45% of our blood on those mobiles, and the rest of it at the centers that we have set up, the 7 centers we have set up around town.
Because the logistics on that, it used to be, I would imagine, before you guys had that, you had to come to Hawksworth to make the donation, or you could send people out to set up, like I remember when I was in high school, there were a few like sort of loungy chairs, and you just go to the gymnasium and it's all set up there. But logistically now, being able to send these vehicles out to any office park, to any sporting event where you guys have a deal, you have plenty of options now.
Yeah, so if you don't have extra space available to dedicate a room for an in-room setup, then those buses are a great alternative for you, and we just bring them out there and everything is self-contained. For larger drives, especially high schools or at the University of Cincinnati where we will have the drives, we'll have a larger space that we can bring out those cots, and that usually is more efficient and gives you a little bit more space for the donors to navigate.
Yeah. So now we had a picture there of these jerseys. You guys, I think, have a really great reputation for the merch that you give out. I know for sure that I've got Hawksworth Reds T-shirts. I've got a Hawksworth Bengals T-shirt. You guys have that free Team Hawksworth celebrating America's 250th anniversary. That's a current promotion?
That's the current promotion. Yeah, and it's a great timing, right, for 4th of July coming up, and then with all the soccer games that are going on in the United States. So I think that's a great thank you gift. We know that people don't donate just for that merch. That's all thank yous, but it does help to get a little something when you're giving, and to get something to remember that donation and to encourage you to come back in the future.
Yeah, and that's I think that's one of the more versatile pieces of clothing you guys offer. That'll be good all this summer, and it'll work out pretty well in future 4th of Julys. Is it difficult to come up with innovations in the different merch you're going to offer and new ways to try to get people's attention when it comes to giving?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? So, I think of the merch that we give as an idea or a draw for people to catch people's eye and to remind them, hey, I've been donated for a while when I come in. But I know that people will come in primarily out of a sense of wanting to do something good and beneficial for other people. I really feel like when people are giving and they leave Hawksworth, they're felt with I'm not sure exactly what that blood is going to do, but I know that there's a need for it. I know that somebody on the other end is going to benefit from it. And there's a lot of power to that. And I think it's something in today's world where it's hard sometimes to give to other people and to be truly generous and without any fulfillment at the end of it, or selfishness at the end. And when you give blood, the symbolism there of your life essence, right, and the blood that's coursing through your veins, and you're giving it as a gift to another person who needs that to get better. And that person is sick, and we all have people who we're concerned with who have to go through health issues, unfortunately, and that you don't know if that person is black, white, brown, young, old, whatever that situation is. You're just hopeful that you're going to help that person, and you can leave after donating knowing that you've done something good and that there's good karma coming for you at the end.
Well, yeah, and you know what? Even if you don't get like one of these Hawksworth 250 shirts or a tote bag or whatever, you do get that smug satisfaction of being able to brag to your friends. I'm serious. There's an element of being able to mention to your friends, sorry, I didn't get to hang out with you guys yesterday. I was busy giving blood.
Yes, exactly.
That means something to people.
It does. And for college students as well, you can actually get hours, right, in terms of the volunteer services you have to do. It really does count, and people do recognize that as something that you're doing good for society and community.
Well, and along those same lines, we talk about having drives at school, and you're mentioning universities and stuff, but the opportunity for businesses to partner with you guys and have a drive at their office park and get their friends to come. That is really good PR for a business. You can take all sorts of pictures and share that on social media, let people know that you're making an attempt to do some good, and then there is a benefit there that people who may not have given otherwise, you're bringing it right to them at work.
For sure. And I think that a business can feel good about being able to contribute to the health of the community, and I think their employees or friends who come in to donate at those drives, they can feel great too about both supporting the business that they're working at and also the community at large giving their blood.
Mentioning going to people's works, one of the other sort of ongoing drives that you guys have right now is the Cincy Favorites drive, these are a series of blood drives that are going on at a bunch of different businesses that are affiliated with that Cincinnati Favorites promotion that the city's been doing for years, selling products that everybody associates with this city. Skyline Chili, Aglamisi Brothers, Graters, La Rosa's, and so you've got blood drives set up at all these different businesses all throughout the summer, which I think is a really, really innovative idea.
Yeah, it's really great. And then if you go to those specific drives, a lot of times there's a little extra thank you from the different partners that we have there. So it's fantastic, and we're so fortunate to be able to have these relationships with the businesses, and they're beneficial both for us and for the businesses themselves.
Yeah, and maybe get a little extra scoop of ice cream from Aglamisi's if they're feeling frisky.
Get a pint for a pint, right?
See, look at that. This is why this guy's in charge. We are going to take a break. We are going to have more with Dr. David O, the CEO and Chief Medical Officer for Hawksworth Blood Center, coming up. Stick around. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
What part of it do you think you struggled with the most? And I don't want to know about, the intricacies of relationships or whatnot, but what about the structure of your life at the time did you really have a hard time with?
Well, I guess it would be sharing so much information about my personal life. And just in the back end of things, I just never felt like they always just wanted more. And I'm like, well, I can't be more funny. Like, this is it. And I can't be, and like I've shared like very vulnerable moments. Like, I don't know what else you want me to do. And then at a point where I'm just like, I don't know if they value me.
I was just gonna ask, did you ever feel valued or appreciated?
At some points, and by most of my coworkers, yes. By some people in the building, like we just wouldn't see eye to eye. And I think that's gonna happen anywhere. It happens.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was mad, and I'm like, I can't give you any more than what I'm giving, okay? And for a long time, I was just like, wow, I worked at this radio station, I gave them my life, and I wasn't good enough, and then I get let go. What do I do now? And for a moment, I was frustrated and upset, and like rejection sucks. But now I'm just like, they did me a favor. And honestly, like I grew so much in that time, I wouldn't have had social media. And now I'm like making a small business out of
You're
that.
a social media queen.
Thank
As
you.
somebody who went from 0 to 100, and you like really lean into it. I look at people like you, and I'm like, you like really lean into it and love it and do it well. And it's so great.
You're really sweet to say that, because then, just like the voice in your head, it's like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not creating enough. I need to post a picture today. I'm not gonna post a picture because it doesn't feel authentic. And then I overthink for 45 minutes. And so then it's like,
dude, the pressure to post every day. I haven't thought about that.
I think I should get bangs. What do you guys think? And I'm like, that's the post?
It's a great post.
Yeah, I'm not getting bangs.
But thank God. Okay. Can you?
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. I'm joined by Hawksworth Blood Center's Chief Medical Officer and CEO, Dr. David O, talking about all things Hawksworth, the ongoing need. You guys helping dozens of hospitals and medical facilities in this area, local blood donations that stay here and help local people. It's a tremendous effort. And, you know, we were talking during the break, and I wanted to hold off on bringing this up because I think this is interesting as far as the show goes. You know, we were talking about the logistics of how you guys handle the donations and getting it to the hospitals. And in terms of the money side of things, you know, we have a lot of nonprofits on this show, and we talk a lot about the ask for donations to keep various nonprofits funded. But for you guys, the ask is about donate blood, not money. So you are a nonprofit. How does money figures into something somewhere, right?
Yeah, the money makes the world go round, right?
Sure.
So for sure, yeah. So sometimes people will ask, hey, I'm giving my blood to you guys for free, or you get a little thank you.
Yeah, you get some cookies.
Yeah, but it's like, do you guys charge the hospitals for the blood that's provided? And we do receive money for blood that's provided to the different hospitals in terms of the services that we provide. So after somebody donates, or even to get somebody to donate, there's a whole process that has to be established. Blood is actually considered to be a drug by FDA. So we have to comply with current good manufacturing practices in the way that blood is handled and
stored and everything.
Stored and processed, labeled, tested, and then provided to the hospital. So there's a lot that goes into that. And then to even have the donors that come out, we have to invest in terms of recruitment, promotional items, and those types of things to make sure that the donors can come out. It's a business still, but we're nonprofit. So anything that we are able to have in terms of margin really goes back to the infrastructure to make us better to be able to collect more blood and to be able to provide for the needs of the hospitals that are there.
Yeah, you know, I would think also that training is a big part because in terms of making a donor feel good more than just the fact that they're doing this act of giving, you know, the interaction with the people that are actually running these blood drives, the nurses or whomever, that's your customer service right there. That's your front-facing workers.
Right. We have over 300 employees with Hawksworth Blood Center, so we're a big employer as well. And we have to make sure that, you know, as donors are donating, they're getting a really good experience, as well as making sure all the rules are followed, the procedures, so that the blood that we collect is going to be able to be transfused to somebody.
Did you always want to be a blood doctor? I don't know what the technical term is.
Yeah, so people often ask me, what's your training? How'd you get? So I'm a physician. I was born and raised in Wisconsin, and I did my training, I'm a Badger, so I did my training at University of Wisconsin-Madison and medical school there. Went to Cleveland Clinic for a pathology residency.
Okay.
And then I did a couple years out at Salt Lake City to learn about computers in medicine, and I did my fellowship in blood banking for a year at Wisconsin. And so,
what was it that attracted you to do that fellowship in blood banking?
You know, as you go through pathology, most people, you look through a microscope for about half of it in terms of anatomic pathology, and you make diagnoses based on tissue.
Okay.
The other half of it is laboratory medicine, and it's looking at all the results that you get when you are in the hospital and you give tubes of blood and they do testing. That's all handled through the clinical pathologist and the laboratory medicine. And transfusion medicine is part of that. So when you get a transfusion in the hospital, there's a physician in the laboratory who's running the transfusion service who's going to make sure that that blood you are provided is safe and is appropriate for you. And so that's a training that happens through the specialization of pathology. You get oriented to it. And I really enjoyed that part of my training. And it's a chance to interact with other physicians in terms of that type of treatment that's there, and then making sure that the laboratory processes are appropriate.
Does it help? I would imagine it does. This is asking, does it help is a silly question, but you being a medical doctor and then also then being the CEO, you sort of speak the language of all these different hospitals that that you guys are interacting with.
Yeah, I think it's very, very helpful for me. There are many CEOs of blood centers that are more business oriented, and I think that I bring a little something different as a physician to understand really that patient at the end who's getting the transfusion.
Yeah, you know, you were talking about just all the testing and everything that gets done when you just give a standard amount of blood, say, at the hospital. But I think, did I see a story where you guys also do some testing? There was a story from earlier this year about a guy that gave blood and got like an early detection for lymphoma.
Oh, gosh, yeah. So that's not typical for us. When we're doing our normal testing, we're not really screening for blood cancers and things like that. But we will sometimes get atypical results where we have to follow up with the donors as well. So, yeah, that does happen occasionally. occasionally. We have a whole nother side of Hawksworth as well that does testing in terms of transplantation to make sure that people can receive specific organs from certain donors and other testing as well. So we are involved with not just blood and blood collection, but a lot more as we go forward.
You know, you've been working in this field for a really long time. Are there moments when you're able to sort of sit back and really just kind of marvel at, you know, the achievement for human medicine of not just transplants, but just blood transfusions in general, and the way that that facilitates so many other forms of treatment that we're able to do to keep people alive? That's an amazing accomplishment.
It really is. And when I started down the transfusion medicine pathway, there are some people who are like, are you sure you want to do that? There's going to be artificial blood and then you're going to be out of a job. And here it is, you know, 30 years later, and it's not even on the horizon.
I was going to say, are we anywhere close to that?
We're so dependent on blood at the hospital and in our healthcare systems. 1 out of 7 patients who's admitted into the hospital will receive a transfusion. 1 every 2 seconds, somebody's getting a transfusion. I compare it to communities. I spent a lot of time in California, and water was such a need for a community. You need clean water to be able to support the infrastructure of everything. And blood is very similar for healthcare systems, because if you don't have an adequate supply of blood, you can't do cancer treatment. You can't do trauma level 1 treatment. You can't do OBGYN. There's so many different areas in medicine that you absolutely have to have an adequate blood supply for you to be able to progress and to do the things you want to do for patients.
Yeah, you know, I did stalk your LinkedIn before we had you on. That's some standard operating procedure for me on this show. You know, you talked about having experience in innovative initiatives, and I think it also mentioned like advanced therapeutics, and that's all trying to figure out new ways to market blood donation to people. Do you guys ever get involved when it comes to marketing with like influencers? Has that ever something that you guys have gotten into?
You know, we are looking at that right now,
really?
Trying to identify influencers and help, maybe ask them to help us in terms of spreading our word among young people. Young people are a segment that we really need to connect with and reconnect with. COVID was really rough on us, right, in terms of collecting from high schools, and you know, and then you lose those folks in those years who would typically get acquainted with blood donation and understand it as, oh, this is a community thing that's necessary, to be able to skip class and as a junior or senior, right, for an hour, and then they just continue that habit. And so we miss that window for a number of high school students. And so hopefully they'll get introduced to it through their influencers or through college or other businesses that are holding blood drives, so that they can go ahead and get acquainted with this way of giving.
Is that a gap you're seeing right now? Because, you know, so many people and so many groups and organizations want to put labels and figure out, you know, where younger people are going and what things are trending with them. You know, we're seeing a lot of younger people who drink less alcohol for a variety of reasons. We're seeing younger people who do go to the movie theaters more often. Are you seeing there is a sort of a gap in younger people giving blood?
Yeah, we're seeing that the younger folks are not donating as much. And then, unfortunately, many of our donors are older, and they're starting to have health issues of their own. So we're losing, you know, our older segment of donors. We're really trying to appeal to younger donors so we can have a wave of new donors that come through.
You know, speaking of appealing to donors, certainly, I think you guys have a mascot, right?
Buddy.
Is that?
Buddy, the blood drop. Yeah.
Buddy, the blood drop. I wasn't sure if it was splatter or sure. But, you know, you also have some local celebrity endorsements. I think we've got one of the more recent videos you guys had is Marty Brenneman making the case to folks about giving blood, and I think we've got a little bit of that.
Yeah, he's our influencer for sure.
For sure, yeah. You want to talk about maybe the original influencer?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. You know,
I think we might have that here. Let's show folks.
I've spent my life calling many big moments, but none bigger than this. You can save lives.
Donate blood with Hawksworth Blood Center, University of Cincinnati, and you can save up to 3 lives right here in our city.
Thank you for giving me a chance to grow up.
With 7 locations across greater Cincinnati, giving has never been easier.
A few minutes can mean a lifetime for someone in need. Schedule your donation at hawksworth.org.
Hawksworth Blood Center, saving lives close to home.
That's just one of the many forms of sort of promotion you guys have. What is it like interacting with the University of Cincinnati? Certainly there's a whole educational element there. From your perspective as Hawksworth, what's that relationship like?
It's, so we're actually part of the University of Cincinnati.
Right.
So we supply blood to many of the hospitals, including UC Health, but we're actually part of University of Cincinnati and not UC Health.
Oh, right, okay.
And that's actually been great. I am a professor in the College of Medicine there, and the other physicians at Hawksworth Blood Center are professors there. And so it's really, we rely on them to be able to help us to get the word out, and I think they realize that that's part of the influence that we can have on the community in terms of helping Cincinnati in general through the University of Cincinnati. So we're an outreach, I think, for them to be able to connect with the community.
Do you guys have interaction with any of the research that's going on that UC is doing?
We actually have a couple of researchers in-house at Hawksworth Blood Center and they're doing fantastic work. We're doing work with BARDA to be able to provide innovative new blood products as well. So yeah, there's a lot that's going on, and our researchers are actually getting more involved with the University of Cincinnati as well.
Yeah, and I ask about how that relationship is and what the sort of the working dynamic is, because one of the themes that comes up on this show a lot, whether we're talking to somebody with a nonprofit or running a small business or running a larger business, is how crucial relationships are. And for you, again, you're talking about needing to have some good customer service with people when they're coming around, making sure that training is good, but then you're also interacting with all sorts of different hospitals and medical systems, keeping up those relationships so they don't start thinking about going to a different blood supplier has got to be crucial, and you're the guy at the top.
Yeah. So we have a weekly, as part of our practice in terms of making sure we're fulfilling all the demands and asks that are out there. We have a weekly call with all of our customers, very open. So usually it's the technical blood bank specialists and sometimes the physicians at the different hospitals. And we just talk about, hey, is everything going okay? Supply is good. This is what we're seeing. And just being very transparent in terms of those relationships. We have fantastic relationships, especially with Children's Hospital, where their transfusion service medical director is actually a former fellow of ours.
Oh, no
so
kidding.
That's again part of our tie with the University of Cincinnati. We have a fellowship program, and we actually train professionals in transfusion medicine with a very specialized training for the year that they spend with us, and so we're fortunate to have her at Children's Hospital to be able to continue to do good work in terms of transfusion medicine.
Yeah, no, that's tremendous. You guys do a ton of work, and just the constant sort of, again, the constant needing people to know that there is a need for blood. Let me ask you this: is it tough keeping all those cookies in stock? We got a refrigerator out here with bottles of water in it that get rated. Is it tough to keep all those cookies in stock?
It's part of our job and function, so we make sure that we have those, and we actually do fresh baked cookies at many of our fixed donor centers that people have to come out. So yeah, sometimes we do run out of stock, but if you ask, they'll bake some up for you fresh.
Hawksworth Blood Center, currently with an urgent need for type O blood. You can save up to 3 lives with just one donation. Hundreds are needed every day. Hawksworth.org is the website.
Yes.
There's a tremendous opportunity to give, and it's summertime. You probably have a little bit more free time anyway, and you can help somebody out. Dr. David O, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Really do appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jack.
It's an organization that's doing a ton of work, and it's a ton of good work in the area. Check them out, hawksworth.org. We got to take a break. We will be back with more Working Lunch coming up after this. You're watching The Crown. Stick around.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the Working Lunch, Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. First Word for your morning sports, Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, the Working Lunch for business that hits home, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe. Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm doing it. How do you think I'm doing so far?
You're doing really good. Really good. You already got your shifting points down and stuff. You're able to shift, start it, brakes, all that. You're standing up over the bumps, which is what we want to do, and you've already got your crashes out of the way, and you're tough, so you're going great.
I must say, I'm like on a 110, which is like what little kids ride, and I'm like in gear 1, okay? And even in gear 1, I'm like, okay, you can do this, And now I'm on gear 2,
yeah.
So excited. One day I'll get to gear 3. But the main goal, I don't know, I really want to do a jump and like get some air and land it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to do now on this one.
Yeah.
I think I can do it. If anything, I think I'm going to send it regardless.
You're going to send it regardless?
I'm feeling confident right now. See what
Alrighty. You want to be prepared for the landing is the biggest thing. Like, you don't want to hit and like lose your arms off the bars and just like crash. So
I'm just going to cruise. Cruising! Woo!
I think with just a little bit more speed, you can maybe get some air.
You got it. Bad bitch. Okay. Hey! Woo!
That was sick.
That was cool.
What do you think?
That was so much fun.
So much fun?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thank you so much, Scott, and everyone at Esports MX. Esports MX, I've had a blast. My adrenaline is high. I understand why everybody does it, no matter what age. I mean, just start it. Brett, thank you so much. From our very own pro. Actually, how many pro bikers, pro motocross racers are there in the Cincinnati area?
Not so many. I think we have a couple, in Ohio. I think there's, maybe 4 or 5 total in Ohio.
Wow, and you're one of them.
Yeah.
What royalty today. Thank you so much, dude.
Of course, it was fun, and thank you for having me. I had a blast, and I always love, sharing my passion with other people. So
yeah, man, it's pretty rad.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. Glad to have you here. We are wrapping things up on a Tuesday. I do want to let folks know, in case you didn't catch it earlier, tomorrow morning on First Word, Darren Horn, the NKU men's basketball coach, is going to be a guest on the show. I'm going to have plenty to talk about there. Our own Paul Fritchner is the host of the Rebound Rundown. I'm sure Paul's going to be involved in that conversation. And if you're not following us on various social medias, you probably should. Paul Fritchner's appearance on First Word this morning, in which he had a very heavy coat on and a hat. It was a very good bit, and it blew up all over our social media. That's a fun thing to take a look at. We are at Working Lunch CIN on X, the Everything app. I personally post on at TWLJack. That would stand for The Working Lunch Jack. Various musings that I might have comparing Paul Fritchner to, say, a Muppet who lives underground, depending on how big the coat and how big the hat over his eyes are. And I wasn't kidding when I started off the show today, by the way. Bar and restaurant owners, I know that coming on the show during the lunchtime hour might be difficult. This is the working lunch for us. Others are busy working at their jobs. Hit me up if you want to show off your food, show off your drinks. We'd love to have you on the show. We can figure out a way to pre-tape something. I'm just trying to get my people fed, and I've been talking for a while now about trying to squeeze in a bite to eat or a drink before you go back to face the afternoon. I really mean before we go back to face the rest of the afternoon, and I wouldn't mind getting a bite to eat in here. My email address is jack@cincycrown.com. Again, follow us on social media. There's a variety of ways to tune in to this show and all of the shows here on the Crown Network. Of course, First Word with James Rapine is going to be back in at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. You've got Nat Tries That and the Nat Jones Show. One of the things I love about these breaks is all the different promos that we get for the Nat Tries That show. I think we've got a new Nat Tries That that's up today. That's a new thing to see her doing. New Nat Jones Show coming in tomorrow, as I'm being told by my control room, and I'm grateful for that because we are wrapping the show up here today. Natalie Jones goes out and does crazy stuff each and every week, and we run promos for it, and I think they're so well cut as a way to try to get you to check it out. It's extremely good. We're having a wonderful time here on The Crown. We're so grateful to you for watching us. This is The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We will be back again tomorrow, bringing you all sorts of business headlines, updates around the city, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll squeeze in a bite to eat. Get at me, jack@cincycrown.com. That's our show. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.